Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Metzia, page 56b, top of the page with the words, Kodshim Shuhu Chayev Bachriyusan. With regard to sacrificial animals for which one bears responsibility to replace them, they are subject to the halachot of exploitation, as this responsibility indicates a certain aspect of ownership, and those for which one does not bear responsibility to replace them, they are not subject to the halachot of exploitation. Rabbi Yehuda says, even in the case of one who sells a Torah scroll, an animal, or a pearl, these items are not subject to the halachot of exploitation, as they have no fixed price. The rabbis said to him, the early sages stated, oh, that's the Mishnah, okay. It's still part of the Mishnah. The early sages stated, only these items listed above are not subject to the halachot of exploitation. Gemara, the Talmud says, Mina Hanimili. The Gemara asks, from where are these matters derived? It is, as the sages taught, it is written, and if you sell to your colleague an item that is sold or acquire from your colleague's hand, one shall not exploit his brother. Leviticus 25:14. This is referring to an item acquired from hand to hand. Land is excluded, as it is not movable. Slaves are excluded, as they are juxtaposed to land in several sources, and therefore their legal status is like that of land in certain respects. Documents are excluded, as it is written, and if you sell your colleague an item that is sold, indicating an item that is itself sold and itself acquired. Documents are excluded, as they are not sold themselves and they are not acquired themselves. They have no intrinsic value, and they exist only for the proof therein. From here, the sages said, in the case of one who sells his documents that are no longer in use to a perfumer for use in packaging his wares, they are subject to the halachot of exploitation because he is selling the paper itself. The Gemara asks, isn't this obvious? In that case, one sold paper, and it is no different from any other movable property. The Gemara answers, this serves to exclude the opinion of Rav Kahana, who says there is no exploitation for cases involving prutot, as paper is sold for mere prutot. The sages therefore teach us there is exploitation for cases involving prutot. Consecrated property is excluded, as the verse states, one shall not exploit his brother, Leviticus 25:14, indicating that these halachot apply only to transactions involving his brother, but not to transactions involving consecrated property. Rabba Bar Mamel objects to this. Is that to say that anywhere that it is written in his hand, the reference is to his actual hand, and not merely to his possession in its metaphorical sense? If that is so, that which is written, and taken all his land from his hand, Numbers 21:26, would you also explain here that he was holding all his land in his hand? Rather, clearly, from his hand means from his possession. Here, too, from your colleague's hand, in the case of exploitation, means from his possession. The Gemara asks, is that to say that anywhere that it is written his hand, the reference is not to his actual hand? But isn't it taught in a Braita, if the theft is found in his hand, Exodus 22:3, I have derived from here only his hand? From where do I derive that the halacha is the same if the stolen item is found on his roof, in his courtyard, or in his enclosure? The verse states, if the theft is found, himase timase, the use of the double verb teaches that the halacha applies in any case where the stolen item is in his possession. The Gemara infers the halacha applies if the stolen item is found in his possession, and this includes any place in his possession. The reason is that the merciful one writes, if the theft is found, he must say, that if it were not so, I would say that wherever he writes his hand, the reference is to his actual hand. And furthermore, it is taught in a Braita that is written with regard to a bill of divorce and place it in her hand, Deuteronomy 21:4. I have derived only her hand. From where do I derive that the halacha is the same if he places the bill of divorce on her roof, in her courtyard, or in her enclosure? The verse states, and place, in any case, that he places it in her possession. Here too the Gemara infers the reason that any place in her possession is included in that the merciful one writes and place. If that were not so, I would say that wherever he writes his hand, the reference is to his actual hand. Rather, the Gemara rejects Rabba Bar Mamal's objection. Oh yeah, one second.